Hello all, myself Vedangi and I am a legal intern at Lexis and Company. So guys, my another topic for today's discussion is the case analysis of Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. So let's begin. So the English contract law has evolved in different dimensions, leading to various landmark cases that have shaped its concept by placing scenarios that put the judicial minds under thought. Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company is one such landmark case that has earned a name. Its decision was given by English Court of Appeals, and most importantly, it became a landmark judgment due to its notable and curious subject matter. The presiding quorum was also very influential and well-founded when the bench interpreted the legal concepts involved therein. Now let's discuss the facts of this case. So the Carbolic Smoke Ball Company came up with a new advertising strategy that would require the company to advertise that their carbolic smoke ball was a definite panacea for influenza, hay fever, cough, headaches, bronchitis and any other sore throat related troubles. Also, the company was in fact very much confident of the usefulness of their product, and they also claimed that the carbolic smoke ball not only possesses the ability to cure influenza but also prevent users from getting any type of common flu. However, the main crux of their advertisement was that the company stated that any person who catches a cold or gets affected by influenza even after using their product, carbolic smoke ball, such a person will be entitled to claim £100 from the company provided that the product has been used for a certain specified time period. The company also stated that it had also gone as far as to deposit £1,000 in a certain Alliance bank account, and this deposit was made by the company in the event of any claims that could be made in lieu of their advertisement. The plaintiff Carlyle, he followed all the procedures of using that carbolic smoke ball, and even after following the procedures she still caught the flu. Consequently, she filed a suit against the carbolic smoke ball company, and her claim was £100 from the company as the company advertised their product as such. The court ruled in her favor, whereas the defendant appealed. Now there were certain issues that were raised in this case. So there were four main issues involved. First was whether there was any binding effect of the contract between the parties, whether the contract in question required a formal notification of acceptance. Third, whether Mrs. Carlyle was required to communicate her acceptance of the offer to the carbolic smoke ball company, and whether Mrs. Carlyle provided any consideration in exchange for the reward of £100 offered by the company. So now let's discuss the concept of the unilateral contracts that has been considered in this particular case. So most contracts have consideration as an essential part, without which an agreement is not considered as a valid contract. Anything of value is a consideration, for example, benefit or a detriment. When such benefit or detriment is promised in return for the promiser's promise, then only an agreement becomes a valid contract. And the consideration also needs to be valid and lawful, otherwise the contract will be void. Only promises from both the sides of the parties which are backed by a valid consideration are enforceable, and the problem with unilateral contracts is that both sides don't hold a definite obligation towards each other, and if the offer made is beneficial, then also under such contracts there is no seeming obligation for the other party to provide any consideration in return. And according to the essentials of a valid contract, a unilateral contract should be invalid due to the lack of the consideration. Now there were certain arguments that were raised on the part of the defendant and plaintiff both. So first of all, we will discuss the defendant's arguments. So the Carbolic Smoke Ball Company, that was defendant in this case, argued that their offer didn't have a binding effect in order to form a valid contract. Their reasoning was that the words used in the advertisement did not really amount to a proper promise because the advertisement was too vague in its terms to form a contract. Secondly, they argued that there was no specified time limit as to what, and there was no means of checking as to how the smoke ball product was being utilized by the consumers. For example, an unscrupulous consumer may have not used our product properly at all, and also he complains that the company is depositing the money according to the offer. Thirdly, there was no contract because in order to form a valid contract, it requires communication of intention to accept that offer. And in this case, Carlyle didn't really send any acceptance with regard to the offer either expressly or impliedly. Thus, it is clear that the advertisement was just a marketing strategy and the company didn't have any intention to form of a contract while making an offer to the world at large. Whereas the plaintiff argued that the promise was not vague and also the construction of the offer was such that it was clear that in case the product wasn't effective, the company would reward a certain amount. Also, in order to facilitate the same, the company had deposited a large amount in the Alliance bank account. Thus, their act of depositing the amount is proof of their intention to actually form an agreement from one side. The plaintiffs also proved that there was a consideration in the form of money that was paid to buy the carbolic smoke ball. The advertisement was not an empty boost, and in fact, it characterized most of the essentials that attribute a contract and more precisely a unilateral contract. Thus, the company has to fulfill its part of the bargain. Now, what was held in this case? So, the Court of Appeal held that the plaintiff is entitled to claim £100 from the defendant as it was a binding contract with valid consideration. The reasoning that was given by the court is as follows: that the advertisement is a promise because the statement in the advertisement that £1,000 is deposited with the Alliance Bank showing their sincerity in the matter clearly proves the sincerity of the defendant to pay that amount and cannot be construed in any manner. Hence, it is apparent that the advertisement is not puffery but it is a promise. Also, the contract is binding because in a unilateral offer, the offer is made to the world at large and anybody who performs specific conditions accepts the offer. Hence, the advertisement is in the form of unilateral offer, and the structure of the words in the advertisement is not vague and be construed as a promise. Third is the notification of acceptance is not necessary. So for a contract to be valid, it is essential that when an offer is made, not only that it should be accepted, but the acceptance should be notified. But in the cases of this kind, there is no need to communicate the acceptance of an offer, and also the performance of the condition, that is using the smoke ball itself, amounts to an acceptance of the offer. And at last, it was held that consideration does exist as the defendant would benefit from the advertisement as it would attract more and more people, leading to an increase in the sale of smoke ball and thus their profit. Direct inconvenience would also be caused to people who use the smoke ball 3 times daily for 2 weeks as per the direction of the defendant. So in other words, the performance of the specified directions constitute the consideration for the promise. Now, what we can conclude from this entire case is that this is the most frequently cited cases in the English common contract law, and it is a perfect example of unilateral contracts. It also points out the problems that are associated with unilateral contracts, but this case also helps in understanding the basic essentials of a valid contract, as this is an exception to these principles owing to lack of need for acceptance of offer and the consideration, and the commercial uncertainties created due to such a vacuum in unilateral contracts. It also affects the concept of the privity of contracts, and thus this case has become a foundation case for the contract law. Also, the judgment was very well put together. However, the underlying implications of the judgment have become an evergreen subject of debate in commercial circles nowadays. So guys, that's all about my discussion on this particular case. I hope you all liked my video. If you guys have any doubt with regard to this video or to the previous one, then you can comment in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's Click. We will meet in the next video. Till then, bye.